Welcome to Pack Expo and welcome to the RPA's Learning Center. I'm Damon Williamson. I'm Vice President of Business Development for Camps. The slide says national sales. That's so yesterday. That was last week's title. So hopefully that's the only mistake that I make while we're talking today. So forgive me for that one. And let me start by saying I want to thank Tim and I want to thank the RPA for putting this on. Their leadership and vision in reusable packaging is incredible. And thank you as a member company for allowing us to have a venue just like this. So today, I want to talk with you primarily about comprehensive pallet lifecycle services. At Camps, that is our view of how to transform the industry from single use into value-added reuse and recycling. And I'll take you through the journey of the traditional life cycle of pallets, what you maybe think of it from a legacy standpoint, to where we've evolved it today and what we're executing in some specific industries. So what you see, that's the typical pallet, right? Everybody has seen that. We've referred to it as the GMA, Grocery Manufacturers Association, standard size, standard configuration, somewhere north of 70% of pallet use, maybe in the US, is there. But what are the components of that? There's a number of costs, and we'll break that down for you just a little bit. So it starts out, there's raw material. That's the wood and the nails, right? That's the most basic things. After that, you get into the labor cost, whether we're repairing it for reuse, whether we are using an automated nailer to build it new, there's labor costs involved with that. And then there's the program management costs. It's admin, right? And there's safety and there's fleet and there's marketing and all that. So there's program management that goes along with it. Carbon emissions. What does it cost to manufacture that pallet in terms of carbon usage, scope 3 emissions? And then the waste generated. Every time you saw a board, you make a little bit of dust. There's some boards that aren't good enough, what have you. So there's some waste involved as well. And then all of that sums up to the dollars, the product cost. But at Camps, we also measure the environmental costs. How many trees could be saved by reusing that product? What are the carbon emissions required to manufacture it and to reuse it? And then how much waste to landfill are we avoiding? So now let's get into kind of that legacy model of what you would typically think of a single-use pallet, that linear usage, the traditional life cycle. So it starts out between a customer and a manufacturer like ourselves. We arrive at a specification, it's agreed upon. We arrive at a cost, that's agreed upon. And we manufacture that pallet. The customer sends a purchase order, a contract. We manufacture it, pallet purchase happens. Next step, we deliver, and the customer palletizes their unit load, whatever it is, onto that pallet, and then they move it downstream to their customers. At the end of that, the pallet is simply destacked, right? That product that they manufacture gets used, the pallets get emptied, and then they are accumulated. And the costs that I talked to earlier, post-use, they are all still there, the dollar cost and the environmental cost. Okay, so what does that mean for the person that originally purchased that product? You're the manufacturer. In that traditional life cycle of that pallet, what that means is that pallet is going to go, once it's destacked, to a local recycler like ourselves. A portion of that is going to be converted into a sustainable value-added product, an end-of-life product, whether that's mulch, biomass, pellet, fuel, what have you. And only a tiny fraction of wooden pallets, actually the material from that ends up in the landfill. And that's a well-known study by the National Wooden Pallet Container Association. So it's a positive story. But if you're the person that paid for that pallet up front, in that traditional linear model, that is 100% value lost. You paid for that up front, it's downstream and it is out of your control, value lost to you. But there's better news. We've got a better model, we've got a better way that we can do this, and it starts for us with vertical integration. So at our new pallet manufacturing facilities, feeding raw material in there, we own multiple sawmills, both hardwood and softwood that we can process, high volume into whatever dimensions we want. And we also supplement those sawmills with purchases of contracted lumber, whether it's softwood, whether it's hardwood, et cetera. So multiple raw material sources diversifying our supply chain. After that, there is the process. High-speed gang saws, thin kerf band saws to increase yield, all of the latest technology. It's necessary because raw materials into a wooden pallet are 65% of the cost alone. So after that, new pallet manufacturing, high-speed automated nailing machines, both domestically produced in, near Minneapolis by Viking Engineering and produced in Europe by Capé. We invest in the best because we know labor is an issue. I don't care what industry you guys in the audience are in or in ours, labor is an issue. So invest in high speed and automation. And then kiln drying. If you're in the food or pharma industry, cleanliness, sanitation, mold-free, all of that, that is a very real issue. So we've invested in vast kilns, not just to heat treat pallets for export, but to bring that moisture content down so that you're not going to experience mold or sanitary issues. And then at the end of that process, the collection that I just talked about for reuse, and that goes on today in the standard size of pallets, but we're pushing that into the other sizes of pallets that are being used across the country. And wrapped around every bit of that is utilization and maximization of the camp's fleet. We have a fleet of over 8,000 trailers. We utilize that not just for front hauls and for picking up deliveries back of pallets that need reused and repaired, but also integrating with our customers for back hauls and optimization so that we can reduce carbon and miles driven. So now let's put myself in your shoes. If you're a customer in the audience, what does this mean? Well, what is this comprehensive pallet lifecycle services? So visualize with me, you're a manufacturer and one of your plants, let's say it's in Wisconsin. You go through that process of agreeing with camps on a specification, a price. We deliver from our plants, let's say in Iowa, we have multiple. And then your end users are across the upper Great Plains. They're in Minneapolis, and they're in Sioux Falls, and they're in the Quad Cities. You deliver to them. Collaboratively with us, we stage our trailers at your end users' locations. We collect and pick up your pallets, and we're willing to pick up any of the scrap that they have, the pallet cores that need reuse. We collect those, bring them back to our facility, repair, sort, reuse, and reissue those back to you at the agreed upon specification, condition of new, so that it'll work in any automated system that you have at significant savings to you. And at the end of that process in the upper Midwest, we replicate that, doing our network of national plants from Minneapolis to Miami. We replicate that very simple process across the country. Benefit to you, the customer, benefit to us, and benefit to the environment. So let me talk you through a little bit so you can visualize what does this CPLS mean a little bit. And let's start maybe at about 11 o'clock if you're looking at this as a clock. That's that sawmill network, the raw material and the new manufacturer that I talked about. Progressing clockwise, we manufacture pallets are ready to ship. The purchase order is issued. We deliver those and your order is received. You manufacture your product, it is delivered downstream on our pallets. We recover, we sort, repair, reuse. Any pallet that is too damaged, that product doesn't go to the landfill. It can be dismantled and the components that are still good issued back into reuse for repair into your pallets versus becoming even another biomass product. And the cycle repeats itself at a tremendous cost benefit to the customer. So what are the advantages of that from our end? Well, we have a unique perspective on this. We've been doing this for quite a while, and you'll see some case studies in a bit. And if you're around tomorrow, the RPA has very generously given us an award for our program like this that we execute with General Motors, one of the most iconic companies in North America. And I look forward to sharing more about that with you. So we come at this with a unique perspective of leveraging all of our assets for everyone's benefit. And then our culture within our plants is of continuous improvement. We apply that mindset to the customer's program. There are many ways that you can continually improve and advance technology and make the program better and put it downstream further. And what does all that mean? It's taking advantage of materials management. How can we use those remanufactured components versus new? How can we design up front using CAD system and analysis from Virginia Tech, system called PDS, Pallet Design System? How can we design that pallet for its optimum life cycle? And then industry-specific focus. Most of us think of pallet reuse and recycling in that CPG, that consumer packaged goods, and that's very good, and that is a big part of what we do. But there are many other industries that utilize, because of the shape and size of their unit load, other dimensions and specifications. We are putting this process into place across many other industries, and I'll share those with you and talk about that a little more in just a second. So for this whole process, it's really about helping our customers achieve their goals, because it works very well with us too in our environment. And how are we going to do that? Well, it's basically a three-pronged approach. Number one, invest in technology. Constantly be on the lookout for what's next, as Tim just talked about if you were here for the earlier session, AI. And we're applying that today to pallets. So keep investing in technology. Advance your machinery as well. Don't settle for yesterday's processes. There are new and innovative things out there. Be willing to spend the R&D money up front to advance the program. And then how do you add value? Sit on your customer's side of the desk mentally and think through, what are their challenges? How do I add value to them, and can we execute it? So specifically, some of the innovations that we at Camps have put into place: route optimization. I mentioned that fleet of over 8,000 trailers. We've contracted with software to optimize our routing so we know where our trucks are and where they're going. Through AI, safety monitoring of our drivers. Are they distracted? What's going on within the cab? And then also geofencing around facilities. At many large distribution centers, we could have 12 trailers, 15 trailers sitting there where we're delivering good pallets and hauling out their cores and scrap. Analyze, is that the right amount? Or do you have assets that are sitting and not moving? Those are all important aspects and heavy costs for us to weigh. So we can take advantage of that through that software. And it also allows us to pick up more timely and deliver more efficiently. So industry specific as well, as I mentioned, metals industry, machinery, can and glass industry. We've got folks within our sales force and in our organization. They're not just broad generalists. They specifically focus on those industries. They read the publications that our customers read, and they focus and understand what the challenges are. And that's a intentional strategy on our behalf, and we're looking to expand that. With that proprietary reporting, this is the key to data and then to leveraging AI. We've had for quite some time and used a customer-facing portal where a customer can go on in real time and see what they've bought from us or the cores that we've picked up and bought from them. We're taking that to the next level. So we utilize Microsoft Power BI very heavily, and I think many of you in this room might nod your head that use that program as well for data and for analytics and for slicing and dicing. We've found that some of our biggest national customers, that is the exact same platform that they're on. We are creating, in fact, we have created a shared mutual dashboard. We're looking at the same data that they are through their lens and at a cadence that they want, doing intentional business reviews, analyzing that data and finding the holes in the program and finding the opportunities and best practices and sharing that across the broader platform. So that's really exciting for us and for our customers. And what we call TPM, or on-sites, total pallet management, on-site service. There's a lot can be done with this. If you see the picture there, we call that a rainbow load, right? It's got the red pallets, the rental pool, the blue pallets, and the white wood. But that's not everybody's dream. Nobody in the world in the pallet business wakes up thinking, man, I want to deal with those rainbow loads. So how do you do that effectively? On-site services, meaning you, Mr. Customer, focus on your core competency. We can provide Camps labor, Camps equipment, Camps trucks inside of your facility and you focus on the distribution or the manufacturing that makes you money and is your core competency, and we'll take this off your plate. With that, there are additional advancements as well. You turn around those assets faster, those pallets, and you get full transparency into what the value is of the pallet cores coming out of your facility. So what you're seeing here, this is a sortation line in one of our facilities. The next innovation in this pallet sortation of the quality of whitewood pallets and of sorting those rainbow loads is AI technology. So we have implemented in our facilities and in some selected customers, sortation line. The pallets flow through and are AI scanned for their color, for their quality, for their grade. We can train this to do anything we want. It moves faster than a human can do it, moves down the product line. If you are a distribution center and you want the perfect pallets to remain in your facility so you can use those at selection, we can do that inside your building. What we call ready to goes, they get kicked off the line and they are ready for you to reuse. We can tell you how many repairs are needed. We can kick off the pool pallets so that they can be back onto the pool pallet providers for them to repair, reuse, etc. Again, in your facility, no questions about it, AI sorted and graded. And then advanced material handling. If you're somebody that is dealing with fines that are happening across a broad spectrum of industries from distributors about pallet quality, we hear it all the time from our customers today. They're getting fined because the pallet quality does not meet the standards that the distributor is requiring. We've got some advancements that can help with that. When you think of pallet damage, it often happens where the fork truck impacts the lead edge boards. It breaks that board, it lifts it up, whatever. Simple technology that we've got that will make the impact of that fork truck hit the stringer. Again, simple thing, but it's available today and can reduce the amount of fines that your facility may be receiving. All of that goes to full transparency of the data, faster turnaround, and higher quality of grades of pallets within your facility. So there is more to AI as well. This is in the manufacturing environment with our plants. Yield is a big thing. When you're tearing down pallets, my joke that nobody else thinks is funny is I can make those boards shorter, I can't make them longer. That's right, that's not funny. So when those recycled boards go across our lines, we now have scanning AI technology with the cameras that's telling us what's the length, how much can we yield out of that. And we have found what in the past, we were cutting boards back to 40 inches. That's the most common thing. But we had customers that could use reclaimed material. Well, their dimension was 42 or 44. We have the material. We just were in the past, before implementing technology, we didn't know that, and now we do, and we're able to issue remanufactured pallets using recycled components because of implementation of that type of technology. And also the picture at the top, that's called a USL, Urban Sawmill Line. So through that, we can plug in whatever recipe of lengths, thicknesses that we're looking for in remanufactured boards, and it will do that for us and drop those into bins. So down to 29 inches, up to 48 inches. Scanning, photo eye technology, and scanning for thickness as well. In the old days, that was the big limitation in remanufacture of pallets. You would get thick and thin boards, and nobody wants their pallet wobbly, their product wobbly, and it didn't work very well in automated palletization. That problem is largely solved today, and we are doing that. Also, very industry specific. I mentioned having representatives that focus on specific industries. We have customers that are very conscious of being sanitary and clean. One in particular, they wanted a next step. They didn't want wood floored trailers, and they wanted the fork trucks to be that handled their pallets to be guaranteed that they were sanitary as well. We have implemented at our plant in Detroit washing of the fork trucks and cleaning of the trailer so that that customer can rest assured that the products they get from us meet their sanitary standards. And then also equipment manufacturing. There's great stuff out on the market in your industry, I'm sure, and in ours as well. Being in this business 52 plus years, we've implemented our own manufacturing and design, and we've enhanced some of the things that we've bought. So we do that in-house, and it speaks to that culture of continuous improvement. And at the end of life, if you'll stick around, here's my shameless plug for the next panel. If you'll stick around, we're gonna talk, several of us across the reusable industries, about what do you do with the products at the end of life. We do a multiple of things with them, and it depends on what the market in that particular area is asking for. Pellet fuel is a big thing for us. Bagged under the Easy Heat label, it burns low ash. We manufacture that in a lot of places, but as the market requires, we make that in Minneapolis. There's not a big demand for that in Miami. So elsewhere, we do colored mulch, playground safety material. We have in a pilot right now, we're going to make a briquette so that material that we have that is collared or isn't ideal for pellet fuel or something else, we've got a pioneering solution for that as well. All of it leads to lower costs, truly customizable by what the customer is needing, and highly sustainable value-added waste streams. So a couple of case studies that I'd like to share with you. First one is from the automotive industry, and Camps Pallets is headquartered in Michigan. You can imagine that we have a little bit to do with the automotive industry. So what was the situation? Two of our large customers were buying about 90% new pallets. We've been working with them for approaching 10 years. Through that process, we identified collaboratively with them, they were using 70 plus vendors. One guy did the recycling here, another guy did the new pallets there. It was a bit of a hodgepodge. So collaborating with them and trusting in one another, we've taken that fragmented program, married that into a Camp's comprehensive pallet lifecycle program. We have flipped them today. They use 90% reused and recycled pallets versus buying 90% new. And through that, we cover their entire supply chain, their parts distribution, their manufacturing sites, and we're now today getting into their tier 1 suppliers. And we see that as just the next evolution that'll benefit everyone. And what does that mean in dollars? It means real money. Between those two automotive companies, we have saved them on an annual basis around $4 million. They get, through the transparency of data in the Camp's customer-facing portal, 100% visibility real time into what they're doing with their pallet program, significant carbon emission avoidance, and the flexibility to scale up and to expand into all their facilities and their suppliers. And it doesn't necessarily stop there. Another great customer that we work with nationally, very well-known machinery and heavy equipment supplier, manufacturer. In their network of their two primary specifications annualized, they buy about 600,000 new pallets. They were building those, buying those all out of 100% new lumber, and they did have a loop that the dealerships would receive these pallets with parts on them, and then they would get them returned. We've revamped this whole program. It's one of the most exciting things that I've been involved with in this industry. We've implemented for their pallets, they no longer buy those specifications out of new lumber. They buy those out of remanufactured lumber that we harvest. We call it the urban forest. Tear that down, scan, plow that in, and build them new pallets out of recycled lumber to feed their needs. We've used all of our network. Instead of a centralized system where everything was going to before, we've used our network, and we have 6 of our plants that are hubs, management centers, that these pallets are going into regionally. Think of the cost reduction for transportation alone of you're not hauling broken pallets from coast to coast to one centralized location. We do that at multiple sites and then feed those back in where needed, optimizing for freight reduction. And then I mentioned the remanufactured pallets versus new. Annualized so far, 1.1 million, and we're just getting started. There is so much room to go in this program. And we've taken them to 80% reuse. They want those environmental metrics. And we're at a great point today in this whole pavilion and what we're talking about in reuse. We are truly at the nexus today where the commercial and economic benefits marry with the environmental benefits of reuse. Doing the right thing for the environment is no longer a cost. It is a cost savings if you implement it correctly and collaborate customer to supplier. And our reuse rate for this particular customer is at 25% higher than what they were doing in their old program, and significant cost avoidance. So understanding that CPLS, where are we at today? The metals industry. I was just at the Metals Summit about 6 weeks ago in Atlanta. I saw a gentleman here a minute ago from one of the customers that I talked about. We're in that space today. When you think of big coils of metal, big sheets of metal, we're in that space today, but there's a lot of room to grow. There is a value chain. Many of those largest companies in the metals industry, they are vertically integrated. Their value chain goes from primary, where it's an electric arc furnace, down the line, and they add value to those products and cut and slit and coat. We're getting into that chain, and we see tremendous potential for them. Automotive, I touched on at length. The agricultural products, we execute this program for one of the largest agricultural companies in the country. We've consolidated their program into 2 sites for repair and return and taken them from 5 specifications down to 2, completely manage their inventory across the country. Paint and coatings is another enormous opportunity. Food and beverage, like the beverage industry and aluminum cans, empty glass, entirely different specification, 56 by 44. There's tier sheets in between each layer of unfilled bottles and cans, and then a top frame that goes around it. That industry does have kind of a recycling pool going on, but there's opportunities there to enhancement, and we have a specialist in that segment. Where's the future? I see it bright. There's some specific industries as well. Petrochemical, a lot of downstream, a lot of block pallets. That is a very real opportunity. Landscaping and building materials, as you see in the box stores, see that across the country, whether it's bagged cement, whether it's block landscaping, big opportunity there for capture, repair, and return, redesign as well. And truly, anything that's non-standard, whatever segment you're in as a customer, any non-standard pallet size, let's talk about it. There's a real opportunity to capture those pallets, repair them to the condition of new, get them back to you at a real savings and with environmental benefits. So all of this, why act now? Why act now? Is there a sense of urgency? Well, I'll tell you there is. Today is the right time to start. I mentioned all of those other industries that are out there and all those other sizes. If anybody reads Modern Material Handling magazine, it's a fantastic publication. They do a survey every year of what sizes of pallets are being used heavily. And you see over time, since 2022, since I've been looking at this survey, you see the rise of other pallet sizes, other specific industries, because it fits their unit load. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get into those industries as well as recycling and reusing the standard GMA pallet. But there's more. There's another reason for a sense of urgency. The production of hardwood lumber, which is a preferred material for pallets in this country, you can see the graph there. Production of hardwood lumber is now approaching a 50-year low. So that's a real concern if that's a requirement in your specification. It's since 2021, it's some 1.8 million board feet off the market. It's significant. It's significant. And those are due to closures, not just in hardwood, but in softwood sawmills. The one in reference here in West Virginia took some 8% of hardwood production off the market when it closed. Recently announced mammoth closures in southern yellow pine, in South Carolina, 2 of them. Those aren't just production delays, those are closures. That material's not coming back on the market. And as the Wall Street Journal called out, there's an alarm bell going on. We've seen mortgage rates start to come down. You've seen the administration not be shy about speaking about their willingness to support and prompt the housing industry. As those things happen, that is the largest consumer of lumber in the United States, prices will rise, and you as a customer do not have to participate in that cost increase to you. You can implement a reuse comprehensive pallet program today and insulate yourself from those coming increases. So I would leave you here with one question. Is your pallet program stuck in 2005? And it may be, it may not be. But if it is, thank you for attending. If you would, please scan the QR code, just a couple of questions, and it'll link you right to us, and I'll be glad to speak with you a little bit further.